Oh, aloha everyone. Joshua Hayes at bigwavetrading.com. All right, I continue to be very busy on my end on an end-of-day basis. We're just firing on all cylinders. Now, starting this week after the Thanksgiving holiday, I came in to Monday session with 0% cash on hand. Following Monday and Tuesday session, due to my tight and aggressive stop trailing policy, I was able to raise 15% cash on hand. And for the first time in the era of 1% positions on my end since January 2018, it's the first time I've ever traded like this. I went from 0% to 15% cash back to 0% cash by the end of Wednesday's session, and everything is working. So that means that I got filled on 15 new longs, and they're all working. But let's review some of the best performing ones that happened on Wednesday. So RLMD gapped up. Whenever I went long here, this is what RLMD looked like. This was its technical pattern. It showed up in my perfect speculator scan. I got a candle over candle. Volume wasn't heavier, but I really liked basically the symmetrical triangle pattern that this thing was forming on a daily. So went ahead, attempted to get long RLMD as I do with everything. You got to set the good to cancel buy stop limit orders. It did fill the next day. Once it filled, I did set a 50% profit target goal at 36. The initial stop was here. The second stop was here. RLMD kind of went sideways and didn't really do anything, but perked here finally. And then after Wednesday's session, bam, at the open, it triggered my 50% sell signal profit target. So I went ahead and readjusted everything. Now with RLMD, my next profit target area is so far away, it probably will never come into play. But if it does, I have it out there, 79.60. And for now, I just move a stop here. I'll have a stop 1, 2, more than likely 3, and then maybe 4 on the remaining position of RLMD. But since getting long, RLMD is up 80% in under 1 month. Like I said, I wish they could all work like this, but instead, about 80% of the stocks you're going to go long. They're going to be small gains, small losers. They should be very tiny losers. We're very quick with cutting our losses at bigwavetrading.com. And eventually the other 20%, your big winners, that's what should make up your entire trading career. And that's what RLMD helps do with its 80% move. Another big winner following Wednesday session, APLT. I actually was able to get 2% of my capital in this one. Gave me a long signal back here. I got a candle over candle on heavier above average volume with an increase in green BOP. This is from my IPO scan. I really like charts that look like this. It did not trigger that day, and then immediately gave me an add signal 2 days later. Put another order out there. As you can see with the heavier above average volume, pocket pivot point signal, hammer candle, slight increase, basically the same in the BOP. Triggered that day, both of them, got my fill in APLT, came close to hitting my first profit target, which I set at 2050, and today, intraday, that happened. It hit 2050. I'm out of 50% of APLT with the remaining position. I'll have a stop here, and a final stop right there since there is no green BOP anywhere else below those lows. So 1, 2, 3 stops on APLT. Since the very first long signal, that's a 42% gain in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 sessions. Like I said, wish they all acted like this, but they don't. Sometimes you got to cut your losses. CANF, here's another one that we're long. Once again, already out of 50%. My next 50% profit target, we've already reviewed this stock before, so we don't need to stay with it for too long, is $4.95. And then my next 50% target is way far away, $8.88. Don't plan on that coming into play anytime soon. But if you're still trading on an end-of-day basis, this was the long signal. Show you what it looked like. Candle over candle. Oversold swing trade idea. Already has a series of higher lows. A lot of green BOP in it. A lot of accumulation. It did it once. Sold off on lower volume. Did it twice with the pop. Sold off on lower volume. Did it a third time. And each time following these pops, there's higher lows. So that's why CANF was a new long position. Also in my max green BOP for the past 5 session scan. Basically just worked out perfectly. From that signal date till today, it is up 75%. Not too shabby. I have a stop here, and then my final stop is where this yellow BOP is. I'm not using these levels back there whatsoever. And then MTNB was a recent new long position. Once again, got 2% in this one. MTNB from my perfect speculator scan. Hammer reversal candle, basically kind of an engulfing candle over candle on above average volume with that max green pop, was also in that scan. Like I said, it's in my perfect speculator stock scan based on the book The Perfect Speculator by Brad Kodeshwar, one of the most underrated books in the stock market. Set my levels, don't get filled this day, but on this day, I get filled and get an immediate add signal. Now, following this add signal, I actually have a large size for a $1 stock, so I set half of my profit targets at 141. On this session here, yesterday, as you can see, it hit 140, just barely missing it, but today it took it out, so I'm now out of 50% of MTNB, but on an end-of-day basis from the first long signal, that's an 18% gain, but today's high a day, 152, is my next 50% profit target. You see where it's at. Yeah, 148, 150. So yeah, it is going to be 152. And then after that, I don't have another profit target until it gets up to 399 on MTNB. And then the last one I want to go over for a winner. Actually, what's funny is that the other 4 losers from today's session that we're going to run through really quick, they're all basically winners too. It's just things are really working very well right now. CDLX, the original long signal was here. Show you what it looked like in my perfect speculator scan. Hammer candle over candle. You can see the series of higher highs and higher lows. Heavier volume than the session before and all that max green bop. Took it a few days, but it finally filled on day 3 after the signal. Good thing it did, because if it would have filled the next session, which it didn't, because either A, I didn't have the funds available, and or B, whenever it triggered up and through that price level, I don't keep records of why they didn't fill. It either triggered and then did not fill, which means then I don't call it back on until it trades back below the trigger price, which was 28.29, and then it triggers and fills on this session. And CDLX has been great since then. It gave an add signal before its earnings day here. We added to it there. And post earnings, we've also added to it that day, and then I even added to it on this session. So I've added to this quite a few times, but from the original long signal, which, man, like I said, wish it would have been a 5, 10, 20% long signal where I would have put that much of my account capital into it, but this market just doesn't allow for that since January of 2018. Nothing, and I mean nothing, lines up. When I get my good chart patterns like this, the market's downtrending. And or it's whenever I do get a good chart pattern signal like this, the market's been V-ramping to new highs on no volume without any pullbacks. I just can't get things to line up. And my biggest indicator is my monthly time segment volume, and that's been negative in the Russell 2000 since the summer of 2018 and since September of 2018 for the rest of the market. So until that really turns bullish, that isn't really the green light to get crazy with any one new long signal. But it's all working out right now. But as you can see, 128% gain in basically a little under 5 months. And hopefully there's a lot more to come with CDLX. But now it would be chasing if you decide to go into it here. But those are the big winners. So let's go over what were the worst performing stocks I am long from Wednesday's session, just to show you, hey, there's some great, there's some good, but there's also some bad. Well, what's funny is that Tuesday was a different session and day completely, but today, basically everything's working. LK, you remember from whenever I went long at the market this day here, we still have a 38% gain, but I did add to the position this day here. This reversal hammer candle on heavier above average volume max green bop, I decided to add to that position, which has increased my cost basis significantly. So today's reversal is actually a very big deal. I will be out of 25% of it with the close below here, another 25% there, another 25% there. My final stop for now is here, and I should, even with the add, this will be for profits, this will be for profits, this though would now be for losses, but I've already locked in significant gains. It's really a non-event, but that kind of reversal on heavier above average volume with it losing green bop is always a red flag. But that being said, it's still overall in an uptrend, so there's really nothing to worry about here. If it sells off again and loses its green bop, I will be consolidating the rest of my stops to whatever the recent lows are. But as long as it holds that green balance of power and shows me that volume is in control on the upside and not in control on the downside, I'll hold LK. VRAY, a big winner. It's hit two 50% profit targets already. This one was at 333. The stock hit that one, I believe it was on 11/29. The next profit target then was 464. It gapped up and filled me, or it gapped up and then hit that number yesterday. It's now pulled back. My next 50% profit target for now is 488. The next one is a gap fill to that 645 level. But following today's session, that's a bad session. I'll be adding, I had a profit stop right below today's low day too. That got hit intraday. I'll be adding one to here. But once again, a loser on the session is up 40% since the original long signal. These were the worst performing names today. HIIQ, another worst performing name today. This was the long signal here. Hammer candle over hammer candle, above average volume, increase in green bop, has a heavy, very heavy, high short float ratio, or just a high short float, I should say. There is no ratio within that. But pulled back today on heavier volume. It missed my stop. My first stop here is at 1825, and that's actually going to probably be for a little bit of profits, barely. So 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop, 4 stop is what I have currently on HIIQ. But so far, since the long position till today, it's still a 2% gain. Like I said, we're firing on all cylinders right now. It will not be like that forever. And then, of course, there's ACOR. Now, ACOR, my tight stop methodology has kind of bit me in the ass here, but that's okay. Better to be safe than sorry. Following ACOR, fill. This was a hammer candle off the lows. Heavier above average volume, that max green balance of power, high short float, so it's in long position. I get long 50%, 50%. The next day, 33, 33, 33. At least on the third, I'm locking in profits. Pulls back, 50, 50. Bam, pulls back. Now it's 50, 50 on ACOR. Bam. Now there's just 1 stop left on ACOR. Now it rallies again. But here it is with a pullback on heavier volume. But still, that being said, once again, since the original long position, it's still up 5%. It's not ideal, but things are still working out over on ACOR, even though that I've been knocked out of 75% of my original position. In aggregate, the losses are very small, and that's just what you want to do, what you saw. Small losses, some small gains, and then hopefully you get some huge winners like the RLMD 80% win in a very short period of time, the APLT 42% win or gain, whatever you want to call it, CANF 75%, MTNB 18%, and then CDLX 128% since its original long position and entry right here. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap up this video lesson. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll return Wednesday with another market update. Like I said, very busy right now. I'm holding a lot of different long positions. I wish it wasn't like that. My ideal is situation on end day basis is 10 stocks, 10% each. I feel more comfortable with 20 stocks, 5% each. But in a tape like this, I just keep throwing 1% darts because the account allows for it on a cost basis wise to commissions at Interactive Brokers. All right, everyone. I'll see you this weekend.